Hello class, welcome to the final segment in lecture 9, and in this final segment we'll take a look at one last exercise to sort of check your understanding of everything that we've talked about both in the previous lecture and in this lecture. So given the below flow field at ground level, the zonal component as a function of x, y, and z is equal to negative 0.002x, the meridional component as a function of x, y, and z is equal to negative 0.003y. Calculate the vertical velocity at 1 kilometer for an incompressible atmosphere. So with that, I would encourage you to go ahead and pause the video, take about 10-15 minutes to attempt the problem and arrive at a solution, and then once you're done, unpause the video to check your answer. So I'll give you a few seconds to do that. So hopefully the answer and solution that you got is going to vaguely resemble what you're about to see on the screen. So with that, let's go ahead and take a look at it. So one thing that's one detail that's definitely not trivial is the fact that we've got a flow pattern at ground level, and we'll see why very shortly. And again, I'm just going to draw an illustrative diagram to again get a bearing on what sort of result we should get from our final answer, what we can expect as a final answer. So as we go, so we have the zonal component is equal to a negative times x, which means as we go in the x direction, u is going to become more negative, and as we go in the negative x direction, u is going to become more positive. And then same thing for the meridional component. As we go in the positive y direction, v becomes more negative. As we go in the negative y direction, v becomes more positive, which is going to give us a flow pattern that looks something like this. So the axes are dimmed out here, but the red arrows indicate the flow pattern. And you can see how all the flow is going towards a common point, which means we have convergence. And if we have convergence at ground level, that means we must have rising motion. So when we go to calculate the vertical velocity, we would expect to get a positive result, that is a result that's going straight upward. So let's go ahead and do the math behind this. So in the problem, we're told to assume an incompressible atmosphere. So it'd be helpful to use the mass continuity equation, the form of the mass continuity equation that assumes an incompressible atmosphere, where you have du dx plus dv dy plus dw dz is equal to 0. Now we have to actually go and calculate the values for du dx and dv dy. So du dx, just the partial derivative with respect to x of our zonal wind expression, which if you do all the calculus, that's just negative 0.002. And then the partial derivative of our meridional wind with respect to y. Doing all that calculus, we get minus 0.003. And the units for both of those are in per second. And now we've got something that looks like this. In fact, if we want to, we can go and plug it into our equation and solve for this dw dz term. So we get dw dz is equal to positive 0.005 per second. Now here comes the fun part. We have this expression here. Now, if we want to calculate the vertical wind at some level in the atmosphere, what we now have to do is we have to integrate this equation by use of separation of variables. So we basically end up with a differential equation here that we can solve by means of separation of variables. So the integral of the left-hand side, that's just dw, is equal to the integral of the right-hand side, 0.005 per second times dz. So if we perform that integral, well, first before we perform the integral, we have to determine our limits of integration. So if we're looking at, one thing that would make this really easy is if you remember from lecture 8, the vertical velocity at ground level is just 0. So if we can use that as a reference point, that would be awesome. And in fact, in this case, we can use it as a reference point. So here, for one limit of integration, in fact, the lower limit, we'll go ahead and use the values that we have at ground level, which means this lower bound is going to be the vertical velocity at z equals 0, which again is at ground level. And then I'm also going to choose another limit of integration that will allow us to calculate the vertical velocity at any point in the atmosphere that we choose. So that's why I'm going to use w of z here. So this will allow us to calculate the vertical velocity at any point in the atmosphere that we want. You could also just skip some steps and say w at z equals 1 kilometer. That also works, but I like to generalize my solution so that I can use it for anything at all. If I'm integrating from the vertical wind at ground level, which is z equals 0, that means my limits for integration on the z side of things, that'll be a 0 here, because the vertical velocity at z is equal to 0. That means z has got to be 0, and then we integrate that from 0 to z, which again matches up with what's inside these parentheses here. So vertical velocity at z equals 0 means the limit of integration on the z side is 0. vertical velocity at z is equal to any value, then that's just any value. So here I'm just using z again. Then if we perform that integration, we get the vertical velocity at some height z minus the vertical velocity at ground level is equal to this constant, which we can pull out of the integral, 0.005 per second times some height z minus 0. And again, we can apply that assumption that we looked at in lecture 8 when we talked about the mass continuity equation. We can assume the vertical velocity is 0 at the ground level. So that means we can eliminate this term, and that just simplifies down to this. And now we can just simply plug in z is equal to 1 kilometer, or 1,000 meters if we want to do that unit conversion on the fly, and we get that our vertical velocity at 1,000 meters or 1 kilometer altitude is 5 meters per second, and that is a positive value, which is in fact what we expected to get just based on the diagram that we drew to illustrate the flow field at ground level. So let me also go ahead and reiterate this integration. It might seem unnecessary in this case, but you do want to go ahead and use this integral technique to resolve this equation, because you might end up with a z dependency on the right-hand side, which if you do, then you're going to have to integrate that out. There's no other way around it. You're going to have to perform the integral. You have to get all the z's over here, all the w's if there are any w's on the left-hand side. Then you're going to have to perform that integral, and then only then can you actually start plugging values in. So just something to keep in mind. It's a good idea. In fact, a pretty good rule of thumb, just for future reference, make sure you actually integrate this out. In this case, it may not seem like a big deal, but in some future cases, it might be a big deal to actually integrate this stuff out. So just wanted to go ahead and mention that, and hopefully you got an answer that looks something like this. And that's going to do it for lecture 9. So with that, I will see you all in the next lecture where we kind of shift gears on a different topic, and we start talking about something called a natural coordinate system. But we'll get into that in the next lecture. So with that, I will see you all there.